Great. Welcome to DoraHacks live stream channel. And this is the project demo series from Filecoin Grant Global Virtual Hackathon. Today, we invite two projects from this hackathon. One is Opsci Wallet from UK, and the other is eSign from the US. Great. I think Opsci Wallet is a very huge team, so many of their teammates are gonna join our live today. And before their presentation, I need to announce that our prize pool is updated to $115,000 and the submission is open until July 18th. So there are still 2 weeks left for you guys to apply for the hackathon and get a chance like this to join a live stream project presentation. Great. I think everyone is ready right now. So it's gonna be your turn to present, to share some amazing details about Opsci Wallet. So please start.
Sure, thank you so much. If Opsci could just share his screen, that would be great, and we will start.
Screen visible?
Cool, perfect. Yeah. Awesome. So today we're going to present the Opsci Data Wallet from Opsci. The Opsci Data Wallet aims to give back the data sovereignty to creators and research participants via providing data management tools for interoperability, sharing, and reproducible workflows. So Opsci overall is a scientific ecosystem that unlocks data silos, coordinates collaboration, and democratizes funding. So why the Open Science Data Wallet? Neuroscience datasets are some of the most valuable in existence in terms of the answers they contain about incurable diseases, such as dementia and human suffering, such as depression and chronic pain. They are often collected over many years through hundreds of scientists' hours and time volunteered by participants. Currently, most of these datasets are siloed in centralized databases, universities, and hospitals all over the world. In some cases, data may be kept on personal hard drives. Unleashing this data to build a data commons for global scientists have been met with resistance from misaligned incentive structures. Scientists are not incentivized to share their data open source with their peers, nor are participants incentivized to take part in scientific research. As a consequence, this valuable data is vulnerable to loss and corruption, and scientific collaboration is difficult, and participants are hard to recruit. Furthermore, participants do not retain ownership over their data, and revoking consent and permissioning is high friction and a complex process.
So in order to understand our target users better, we have conducted one-to-one interviews with 6 neuroscientists at various stages of their career. So these people were all across the world, from US, UK, Europe, and South America. The main pain points we're trying to solve were validated with the users. So these included stifled collaboration and innovation due to large siloed data sets in various formats which aren't really interoperable easily. The community expressed strong support for our project. So I'll just read out a couple of the things that people have said. I think it's great. I'm usually very depressed about science for most of the year. Our generation thinks differently and sees what our supervisors are battling. We see it has to work differently to how it is now. And also, I think it's amazing. I love the central spirit of the project. I love how our generation is breaking the boundaries. Key user concerns were validated. So these concerns were like how this all fits with the current data regulation issues, so GDPR and other regulations, and logistics surrounding the problems of revoking data access, quality controls for the data, and token economics, and also acknowledging authorship and contribution by the researchers as well as participants. We also identified further opportunities around supporting labs in traditionally excluded locations. So, for example, rural labs in rural areas and low-income countries. And we're also building open tooling ecosystems and providing training and education for using our products.
Next is the live demo. So as soon as you log into the Opsci Data Wallet, you see a disclaimer and a welcome to the Opsci Data Wallet. To proceed, you have to consent to giving access to your the wallet address and uploading your data to the public domain. As you agree and log in, you'll see wait for MetaMask login. You'll see the sign in for MetaMask, and then in the backend it starts fetching your keys and your personal identity based on your MetaMask wallet address. As it takes a few seconds. As soon as it is done, it will change its appearance. 1 second. It's not responding. I'll just this and see how. 1 second. Some error. I think some internet problem is present. I'll just re-log in.
Okay, I can just show the deployed example that we have instead.
Okay. I think it will work now. Yeah. I'll show that deployed stuff. It's not working there. One second. So after login in, this is the deployed website. It'll take some seconds, and you can, by the time it finishes up, you can just put down the title for the data set, that is fMRI for dementia, and the author's name, and Alex, and the tags would be fMRI, dementia, and scan. So it's still fetching. What seems to be the problem, Kinsu? I think the textile is down or something. It is not responding.
Should we just can just show the demo video that we had earlier? That would be better.
I don't have it on my hand right now.
Yeah, I can share it. I can share the demo video.
Okay, okay.
Cool. Give me just 2 seconds. It's in my, on YouTube. I'll about YouTube. This is always classic with live demos. It was working right before this, but that's okay. So let's just go here. Cool. So if I share my screen, and then share my screen. Just one share. Okay, cool. Okay, I'll share. Let me just turn off Bluetooth so you can hear it. Science wallet. As you can see, I'm going to need to log in via my MetaMask. So let me just do that. Okay, so now the application is fetching my bucket keys. So what this means is it's just going to go into the backend in textile.io and fetch all my data. I'm now logged in, so now I can drag and drop or select by clicking. So I'm going to click and select this, open. I'm going to give it a title of logo. The author is me, and the tags are logo. And I'm going to submit that, and by submitting this, I'm going to send this data to textile.io to get hosted on IFPS. And because I've contributed to data this month, I get a POAP, which is thanking me for contributing to open science this month. As you can see, I've already claimed mine. And this is a bit like scientific kudos. Cool. So now it's pushing the file to the bucket. For the purposes of this demo, we are actually using dummy data due to some issues with connecting to textile.io on the front end, but the data is there. As you can see, we have the title of the bids data, the authors, and the tagging, and also the ability to download the data. We also have public data. So this is data that's being made public to everyone, and you don't actually need to log in to access this data. Overall, the aim of this project is to go further to also host it on Ocean Protocol and make the data, the ability to permission the data to different users. This has been a really interesting experience for me. So, stop share. The main thing with that demo is a bit of an older demo. We've actually added a few more things to that. But also just to say that a lot of the work will be done on the back end especially to connect to larger data sets and enable us to host larger data sets and be able to permission those. If actually could just share the rest of the slides, that would be great.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the technologies we used were textile.io, next.js, so React.js framework, POAP, and IPFS.
So next on our roadmap, we are currently partnering with the Dandy Lab at MIT and with Textile.io for testing out the logistics of storing very large neuroscience datasets. So currently we are trying to validate and benchmark the whole backend to see how the speeds and to test out the speeds and redundancy of the storage with to sample data sets approximately 2.5 terabytes. And we're also trying to build out the entire workflow of connecting the uploaded data to the identities of the participants and researchers so that we can prove that a particular researcher uploaded the data and they can be rewarded for it.
So our team is made up of 5 people, our technical team. So this includes Shadi, who's our founder and product manager. He has an extensive quantitative background with neuroscience. Then we have Sarah Hamburg, who is our product strategist. She's a neuroscientist as well, and she has years of experience in human neuroimaging, user experience research, product development, and she's more qualitative in her During her PhD, it was more qualitative approach. Then we have me. I'm a full stack developer and software engineer. I've both experienced working software and a data engineer in finance and now in Web3. We have Kinshuk, who is our Opsci Google Summer of Code Fellow. He was awarded this very competitive summer fellowship, and he's our resident IPFS expert with a passion for decentralized neuroscience. And we have Opsci, who is Opsci's very first Open Web Fellow, and he's applying these skills to build our decentralized science stack. He's a front-end enthusiast and resident DID expert. And so thank you for listening. As what always happens in live demos, didn't quite go to plan, but hopefully you could see what we've built so far and why this is such an important project. So any questions would be great. Yeah.
Great. Thank you to the demo first. And I'm happy to see a project that is connected so closely with Textile, because Textile is one of our founders of this hackathon. So first of all, I want to know maybe a so-called vision of your project. What's your vision? What's your biggest plan in the future? What's your ultimate goal by making this project?
Yeah, I think I can hop in here. So the Open Science Wallet is just a small component. Hi, by the way, my name is Shadi. I'm the founder of Opsci, and I'm working on this project. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, wherever you are. So the Open Science Wallet is the first component, or one of the primitive components, of a full decentralized science stack that enables a global culture of inclusive scientific research. Our vision is to create an ecosystem where anyone, anywhere in the world can launch a research lab and crowdsource data collection in the cloud, right? And where scientific data is tokenized and accessible with provenance tracking, with built-in mutability, with all of the benefits that blockchain has to offer and that Web3 has to offer, for a scientific enterprise that's open, accessible, and where we can program the incentives. We imagine that we won't be the first ones doing this, although we are to accomplish this, although we are really, really early, I think, with the novelty of this idea and really seeing the space in Web3. I imagine that in 10 years, we're going to start seeing research laboratories that are becoming increasingly automated and distributed layer technology and Internet of Things. And this sort of tech that really leverages the power of decentralized digital infrastructure, such as IPFS, such as Filecoin, such as other cloud service providers like iExec, or some of the work that Ocean's doing, where we'll actually begin seeing automated workflows from the research lab into these new, digital data economy marketplaces, where data is acquired, consent is wrapped into these data sets, and then is deployed along multiple processing pipelines, pathways, and the entire life cycle of the project can be open and accessible, with the research participant at the cockpit in the driver's seat deciding who gets to access the data and when, and also to control the terms of their agreement. So instead of signing these really long consent forms that nobody ever reads, these use case agreements, participants could become a little bit more active and will have the option to become probably even more active than they are today. So our product is really, this Opsci wallet is just the tip of the iceberg for our ecosystem, which we're currently developing and charting out. And it's maturing just as quickly as the Web3 space is maturing, as well as new technology like ceramic, or like ceramic integrating with IDX, integrating with textile, comes out to look to solve some of the solutions we're looking at with DID. And we're super, super excited to really turn scientific enterprise completely around, where the incentive structure currently is just not best optimized for the most high quality research to be available and open and to inspire perpetual scientific discovery. So yeah, so that's our vision in brief. We do definitely have a more detailed roadmap on how to get there, and we're constantly figuring it out too as the landscape changes, as the technology, like I was saying, matures. And for me, this is a dream, working as a scientist, to identify a set of technologies that could turn my everyday pains and struggles with research data management into more automated workflows that could potentially also break the yoke between government funding and external funding, and allowing research labs to become their own self-sustaining, decentralized, autonomous organizations. Yeah, a research lab can't have, I guess you can say, a presence on Web3 if it doesn't have a wallet to be able to control its data, right? So the data wallet really is kind of the user aggregation layer of our BSI stack, where we're able to pipe in all of the back end components that are running on Web3, like smart contracts for deploying on data marketplaces, or for consuming cloud resources for computation on data that's stored in distributed networks, and so on and so forth.
Is that science data is very significant and valuable itself, but how to make people to recognize its value? It's a great topic, and I think that's what your team is doing right now. And in the introduction part of your project, as I quote, Opsci Data Wallet aims to give back the data sovereignty to the creators and research participants. So how do you define data sovereignty, and how do you recognize its significance?
Sure. So data sovereignty. So I think the way we define data sovereignty is ownership over. To begin with, this will begin with the researchers themselves. So researchers collect large amounts of data, and usually what happens is this data is then owned by the institution that they are affiliated with, rather than themselves. And so it would be the ability for them to then upload this data, have a decentralized identifier on that data, and be able to permission that data to who they want. So how it works now, I think if we go back even, to present day, is that researchers oftentimes, when they want to share their data with other researchers, they actually have to go meet them in a coffee shop somewhere physically and hand them like a hard drive. That's just how it works a lot of the time. So this would basically allow them you would be able to share your data anywhere in the world, and be able to say, like, I own this data, but I'm letting you use it for now, and then revoke access when you see fit. Later in the pipeline, I think this is also to do with scientific, like the culture around data ownership, but we would want the research participants themselves to have ownership over that data. So then they, as the research participant, can produce that data. So whether it's, collecting data on brain scans or whatever, and then maybe they say, like, I want to share my data with some dementia researchers, but I don't want to share it with this research into longevity. I don't know, just example about how people want to permission their data. And that's the sort of vision behind that aspect.
Yeah, that's great. So I think my last question is, although this project is called Opsci Data Wallet, we all of us can see that it's very different from typical blockchain wallets we used to see in many ecosystems. So the users of this wallet get any rewards or benefits from using it, or are you going to also make a like science data marketplace sort of thing in the future?
Wow, it's almost like you have a crystal ball.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really great question. I'm going to take this one unless anyone has a burning response for it on the team.
You take it, Shadi.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, so Opscentia is it's a fledgling science DAO. It's a fledgling science decentralized autonomous organization, and we kind of were born out of the parent Ocean DAO. Ocean is a protocol that has built out a really nice software tooling ecosystem for creating data marketplaces and handling all of the back-end smart contract interactions to notarize individual objects for data collection, for individual objects that are acquired during data collection or that are uploaded as after the fact, or just data items in general. And we have received funding for them to bootstrap our project, our data wallet, with the plans to fork the Ocean marketplace and put that back end out of view. And we're working on a front end that allows scientists that are perhaps trained in existing methods to quickly and easily use the features that are offered by Web3 to be able to be able to participate in the data economy. So, the trick for us is figuring out how to present scientists with the minimal amount of information that they need. And, lucky for us, our team is composed of scientists. And yeah, so our future plans are to demonstrate proof of concept of scientific data automated market pools, right? So running on Ocean protocol, where you might have ERC20 tokens that represent available copies of a data set that could be delimited by the amount of funding that was set aside for that project for data storage, for example, or it could be a flat number, or it could be a perpetually funded project that the DAO chooses to make available as an open resource for citizens everywhere all around the world. So yeah, and I think, like you said, how do we capture the value of scientific knowledge? Because if we look at value creators in the economy, these are going to be private companies, these are going to be high technology companies, and they're all leveraging scientific advancement that's performed first in the lab. So how do we close the loop between the growth of the economy feeding directly back into the science knowledge creators, instead of the sort of really complex system that we have now, where profits are generated by companies, they're taxed, people debate and argue about how to divide up the tax dollars, and the tax dollars are given to this institution, and then they argue about how to divide it up amongst the scientists. How do we create a more efficient economic system, or I like to think of it as an economic engine for knowledge creation, where the most pressing ideas, the most challenging projects, the most existential problems in the world are, just like we've seen with the COVID-19 pandemic, are naturally driven by the desire to need and the desire to learn, and the need for knowledge, and closing that sustainability loop. So that's where we're moving towards, and what we're actively building right now. I hope that answers your question.
Great. That's really amazing. Thank you for building a inspiring ecosystem, and also thank you for joining the live project demo today. And I